A wealthy man accidentally embraced a girl from humble beginnings, and her next move captivated his heart. As we embark on this narrative journey, we invite you to share in the comments your location as you tune in. Delight in the narrative. The central station was packed to the brim, resembling the chaos of Black Friday at an electronics store. And there he was, William Smith, CEO of one of the largest hotel chains in the country, exuding an air of sophistication as if he had just emerged from a fashion runway, yet utterly bewildered, like a penguin stranded in a desert, desperately searching for his younger sister. A bright yellow sweater, hair neatly tied up, and a purple backpack complete the look. "Where is this young lady?" he muttered, clearly irritated. Then, roughly 30 feet away, he spotted precisely what he had been searching for. A bright yellow sweater drapes casually, complemented by a carefree messy bun, while a purple backpack is held firmly in hand. The objective was straightforward: catch his sister off guard. In an instant, he spread his arms wide and bam, enveloped the girl in a massive embrace, swaying her back and forth as if they had just clinched a victory. "Understood. You have arrived later than expected. Were you engaging in a game of Uno with elderly women on the train?" The woman stood still. In an instant, she whirled around like a furious owl. It was not Emily. It was someone completely unknown, a figure displaying a blend of fear and fury across her features. "What in the world are you up to?" "Oh my goodness!" William sprang back with such urgency that he almost stumbled over a forsaken suitcase. "You are not my sister." The woman chose not to seek an explanation. She lifted her purse with the ferocity of a warrior and struck his arm with a sharp blow. "Strange presence. Obsessed with the station. Oddball in a suit. That hurts. Hold on. Wait a moment. This is a misinterpretation." "Oh, is that so? Is approaching strangers your latest pastime? Going around embracing everyone as if you're distributing pamphlets? I honestly believed you were my sister." "Does your sister appreciate unexpected embraces from gentlemen in tailored suits who exude the scent of luxury fragrances?" William lifted his hands as if surrendering to the authorities. "Understood. Indeed, you are correct. Indeed, you are completely correct. I made a mistake. I embraced the unintended individual." With her arms crossed, she scrutinized him from head to toe. What sort of individual embraces an unfamiliar woman in a public station? "It was an error. I absolutely swear. Your sweater is identical to the one my sister has." "Absolutely. Bright yellow sweater. Formal family attire. Purple backpack is also in your possession. My sister mentioned she would as well. Are you really planning to embrace everyone sporting a purple backpack now, you crazy person?" "Indeed, you are correct. I moved impulsively. However, your punch is quite powerful. Excellent work." My arm continues to tremble. Eyes began to turn in their direction. A security guard approached but halted when he recognized that it wasn't an actual altercation. It surpassed Netflix. "Understood, Mom." Inhale deeply. "I'm William, and I assure you I'm quite ordinary. Typical? Your attire suggests you're making a grand purchase. Yet you find it acceptable to seize an unfamiliar person from behind? It really depends on your perspective. Alas, avoid the jokes about the needy CEO, please. All right. Tranquility. Could you at least share your name? It would be nice to know who I'll be thinking about when the legal troubles come knocking." Livia Perez. "I'm here patiently awaiting my mom's arrival. She returns from a journey to the countryside, accompanied by a group of ladies who share a passion for bingo and the allure of dramatic soap operas." Incredible. That seems quite intense. Not quite as dramatic as facing off against a wealthy adversary at the station. Text, let's refer to it as an ill-timed burst of encouragement. She rolled her eyes, yet the slight curve of her lips suggested a hidden smile. "Very well, Mr. Inspirational. Simply avoid turning it into a routine." Just as William was about to reply, a woman's voice rang out from behind him. "William." He pivoted. It was Emily, his sibling, wearing a yellow sweater, hair tied up, and without a purple backpack. "Here you are. I arrived late because a woman approached me, inquiring if I was part of a television soap opera. Isn't that hard to fathom? William gestured toward Livia, his cheeks still flushed with embarrassment. I accidentally confused her for you. And, well, I embraced the incorrect individual. Emily glanced at Livia, then at her brother, and smiled with a playful grin that could melt chocolate in Alaska. Are you seeing someone? Excuse me? Negative. Wow, you actually found someone. Emily, that's not how it is. I find myself a bit perplexed. Wow, she appears to be both pleasant and self-assured. You ought to consider dating her. Cease this immediately. She has already formed a strong dislike for me. Initiating a relationship often benefits from a touch of tension. It signifies a connection. Livia was stifling a laugh, feigning disinterest as she tuned in. We are setting off. Being mistaken for someone else was quite an enjoyable experience. Next time, suggest to your sister that she should don a construction helmet. Could potentially prevent those CEO embraces. That sounds like a great concept. I sincerely apologize once more. It's all right. Just make sure you don't arrive at my wedding saying it was love at first hug. Okay? She strolled away with a smile, embracing a petite woman who had just disembarked from the train, tugging along a pink suitcase adorned with telenovela stickers. At the same time, William and Emily strolled in the opposite direction. Emily reflected on the kindness of that person, the memory lingering in her mind. It was an error. Humorous indeed, yet still an error. An error involving a yellow sweater paired with a grin reminiscent of an ice cream advertisement. Express your gratitude to the cosmos. It's evident that it aims to assist you. If that was assistance, I can't imagine what undermining would appear like. You ought to consider dating her. Emily, it was entertaining to see you become all flustered. She brings harmony to your life, and she appears to be the type of woman who wouldn't hesitate to give you a reality check when necessary. That is essential. William let out a heavy sigh, remaining silent. As they settled into the car, he cast one final look over his shoulder. Livia remained in her spot, her mother gesturing toward an object displayed in the store window. She chuckled once more. He shut the car door with a definitive thud. Perhaps I ought to have inquired about her complete name. Emily beamed. Tonight, she will fill your dreams. I can imagine. William gazed out the window and murmured, almost inaudibly, I already am. William found himself in the midst of a day that no amount of coffee could salvage. 3 meetings with investors, a presentation for the board, and Emily checking in every 20 minutes to see if he'd found the girl in the yellow sweater on social media. Emily, I assure you, this is the final time I'll say it. I have no intention of following her. That would be unsettling. Is it more unsettling than taking hold of her at the station? Seems you'll always hold that over my head. Won't you? Absolutely not. I've taken up something new that I'm really enjoying. As night fell, William found himself utterly drained. The prospect of the 500 opulent rooms in his newest hotel venture failed to brighten his spirits. He sought an escape, and Emily offered just the right remedy. The films. A fresh romantic comedy unfolds as a man encounters a woman after a chance collision on the street. Are you kidding me? Serendipities occur. They reached the mall right as the film was on the verge of beginning. The queue at the snack bar resembled a restless serpent, elongated and fidgety. William shifted his sunglasses, a rather obvious attempt to blend into the crowd and evade recognition. You resemble a hungover secret agent, Emily remarked. That's precisely what I'm aiming for. He paused abruptly in the middle of his thought. Livia stood just a few steps away. She donned jeans and a straightforward t-shirt adorned with a sunflower print, sharing laughter with a curly-haired companion who animatedly gestured as if leading an unseen orchestra. Emily, keep your eyes peeled. But it's too late. Emily had already turned her head with such speed it seemed like it might detach from her body. It's her. It's the girl from the station, she shouted without a hint of subtlety. Livia spun around as though a fire alarm had blared to life. Her eyes grew large at the sight of William, who was now attempting to conceal his face behind his wallet. Are you kidding me? Livia chuckled as she strolled over. Is the serial hugger really trailing me now? William slid his sunglasses down, a sense of defeat washing over him. I promise this wasn't in my plans. Oh, I see what you did there. You must have slipped a GPS tracker into my bag right after that bear hug. In a technical sense, you struck me, with your bag in hand. And I must mention a remarkable strength. Livia's companion gently prodded her. Who is that striking figure wearing sunglasses inside? A lengthy tale, Mel. This is William, the eccentric CEO I mentioned to you. The one featuring the unforgettable embrace at the station. Ah, the fellow you mentioned who exuded wealth and had a grin perfect for a toothpaste ad? Livia gasped and nudged her friend with her elbow. I didn't say that at all. William lifted an eyebrow, a smile playing on his lips. Had an aroma of wealth? Fascinating. Ignore Mel. She experiences hallucinations often. Emily, radiating with excitement, seized Livia's arm. Are you both watching this film as well? What an unexpected twist of fate. Let's gather and share a moment together. I'm not convinced that's a wise, William started. That's a brilliant idea, Mel interjected, sharing a meaningful glance with Emily. We are in the process of establishing our exclusive society. Humiliating William in front of others? Livia proposed. Precisely. Emily consented. The four found themselves seated in the same row, with William and Livia serendipitously positioned next to each other by the two budding matchmakers. As the trailers played, William leaned in and softly asked, Can I buy you a soda to make up for the hug trauma? I believe the essentials would include a soda, a large popcorn, and a message from a therapist. He chuckled softly. As the lights dimmed to darkness, an unusual sensation stirred within William's chest. A blend of anxiety and elation that surpasses even the thrill of inking $1 million deal. The film tells the story of an awkward man who inadvertently douses the woman of his dreams with coffee, leading to a series of chance encounters that bring them together time and again. Quite an understated film selection, Emily, William remarked to his sister. I have no clue what you're saying, she replied, her mouth full of popcorn and a wide smile on her face. As the kiss scene unfolded, William sensed Livia's arm gently grazing his on the armrest. Neither of them stirred. It was a subtle gesture, yet his skin ignited with a burning sensation. As the credits rolled, the lights illuminated the room, and the four of them made their way to a nearby cafe. The dialogue unfolded with a fluidity that surpassed William's expectations. Livia had a background in event planning, yet she found herself unemployed for several months. The market is challenging, she elaborated, fiddling with her milkshake straw. It seems that there's a lack of interest in hiring an individual who organizes science-themed parties for children, especially after an incident involving an explosive baking soda and vinegar experiment at a city councilman's son's 7th birthday celebration. Mel stood up for her, insisting it wasn't her fault that the kid added too much vinegar. Good luck explaining that to the councilman who spent 2 weeks scrubbing blue glitter off his bald head. William's laughter echoed, a sound more vibrant than it had been in ages. My company is seeking an individual to join the events department. It would be wise to submit your resume. Absolutely. And for special skills, should I list ambushing CEOs at train stations? He quipped that it could very well be a competitive advantage. Emily and Mel shared a knowing look, their smiles revealing the success of their scheme. As the moment to part ways approached, Emily and Mel inexplicably vanished, claiming they needed to rush to a store for something urgent, leaving William and Livia in solitude. They lack a certain finesse, don't they? Livia remarked. Emily's presence is as delicate as a bull in a china shop. A moment of uncomfortable silence lingered between them. Thus, they commenced simultaneously. You go first, William said. Was that job offer genuine, or merely a clever line wrapped in a facade of goodwill? He smiled at both. We are genuinely seeking someone, and I truly hope to see you again. I assure you, there won't be any unexpected hugs. Well, I truly need a job, but working for the person who embraced me? That would be quite unusual. Consider it as fodder for those future cringeworthy tales you'll share with your friends. Livia beamed and retrieved her phone from her pocket. Sure. Please share your number, and I'll send over my resume tomorrow. William handed her his contact information, a wave of unexpected nerves washing over him. As Mel and Emily returned, curiously devoid of any shopping bags, they exchanged farewells with everyone. As she made her way home, a radiant smile lingered on Emily's face. "What do you mean?" William inquired, feigning irritation. "Oh, just pondering how I will excel as a maid of honor. Our acquaintance is quite limited. Of course, you made sure to save her number, right?" William glanced at his phone, a wave of dread washing over him as he realized, in his haste, that he had forgotten to save Livia's contact information. "Oh no, I completely overlooked saving it. Oh dear, it seems you could use some assistance." That night, William found himself unable to drift into slumber. He gazed at the ceiling, lost in thoughts of yellow sweaters and smiles that seemed straight out of an ice cream commercial, hoping fervently that Livia would indeed send that resume. Livia reached the striking Smith Hotel's building a full 40 minutes ahead of schedule. She lingered at the cafe on the corner, mentally going over her interview responses while sipping coffee potent enough to rouse a dinosaur. This was her moment to shine. After conducting thorough research on the company, and perhaps engaging in some intense investigation into William Smith, she discovered that the position was indeed significant. Coordinator of corporate events. Clad in her sole suit, a bargain from a clearance sale 3 years prior, Livia endeavored to push aside the fluttering anxiety in her stomach. This job was absolutely essential for her. Her rent had slipped past the due date, and the last decent meal she had was a hasty bowl of instant noodles topped with ketchup. "You can do it, Livia. Let's keep the hug incident, the bald councilman, and that mix-up with salsa and hot sauce at the Cohen's bar mitzvah out of the conversation." Upon entering the elegant lobby, she encountered a receptionist whose smile radiated like that of a toothpaste advertisement. "Good morning. I have an interview scheduled for 10 o'clock. Livia Perez." "Ah yes." The receptionist observed her with keen intrigue. "You may proceed to the 22nd floor. Mrs. Palmer is looking forward to your arrival." Livia inhaled deeply as the elevator ascended. "Mrs. Palmer," she echoed within her thoughts. At least she wouldn't have to face an interview with William. That would be quite unusual. As the elevator doors slid apart, a woman with silver hair and impeccable posture welcomed her with a poised demeanor. "Miss Perez, I am Diane Palmer, the head of Human Resources. Kindly accompany me." Livia trailed behind her through a marble corridor, sensing as though she were stepping into the realm of the gods. Mrs. Palmer paused before a striking door. "Mr. Smith prefers to take a hands-on approach when it comes to conducting the final interviews for key roles." "Excuse me, Mr. Smith?" Livia felt a jolt of fear surge through her. "Which one do you prefer?" "William Smith, the individual at the helm of our company. He seldom engages in this activity. View yourself as unique." Before she could fully grasp the situation, Livia found herself nearly thrust into a vast room boasting a sweeping view of the city. There he sat, William Smith, behind a sturdy wooden desk, phone in hand, his expression mirroring her own astonishment. "Livia, is that you, William?" Mrs. Palmer gazed at both of them, her expression one of bewilderment. "Are you familiar with one another?" William sprang to his feet, fiddling with his tie as though he required a distraction for his restless hands. "Indeed, we crossed paths not long ago." In all seriousness, Livia added, "The meeting left a significant impression." William stifled a cough, concealing a grin. "Mrs. Palmer, would you kindly step out for a moment? I will take care of the interview on my own." As the door clicked shut, they exchanged a wordless glance, the air thick with unspoken thoughts for a brief moment. William took the initiative to break the silence. "Did you really go ahead and submit your resume? Are you genuinely searching for someone? Or was this merely a pretext to meet me once more?" William strolled around the desk, resting against it with his arms folded. He confessed that it was both, in fact. "Your resume is quite remarkable, despite the situation with the city council. You sought me out. My HR department operates with remarkable efficiency," he smiled. "To be truthful, I inquired about you with Emily, and she in turn asked Mel. That should send chills down my spine, yet oddly enough, it feels endearing in a peculiar manner." William chuckled and gestured for her to take a seat. "Let's approach this correctly. An authentic interview. Absolutely, completely professional. It's as though you never wrapped your arms around me from behind at the train station. Or as if you never referred to me as a suit-wearing creep. Despite its oddity, the conversation during the interview unfolded with ease. William inquired thoughtfully about experience, skills, and expectations. Livia responded with candor and wit, recounting her previous endeavors, such as a medical conference where she successfully sourced a chef at the 11th hour after the initial one had an allergic reaction to shrimp. Remarkable. It mentions that you are proficient in 3 languages: English, Spanish, and just enough Italian to place an order and express frustration to taxi drivers. William found himself unable to suppress a chuckle. You truly stand out, Livia. Is it different in a positive sense or more like a let's wrap this up kind of vibe? Absolutely a positive change. His gaze lingered for a moment longer than it perhaps ought to have. Livia sensed a flush creeping across her cheeks. William organized the papers on his desk, making an evident effort to maintain a sense of professionalism. In a technical sense, you would serve as my direct aide for corporate events. Do you believe you can manage that? Collaborating with me, could you please promise not to embrace me from behind again? As long as you assure me that your purse won't come swinging my way. Livia extended her hand with a sense of formality. A deal has been struck, Mr. Smith. William grasped her hand, and the handshake felt like it stretched into eternity. Welcome to Smith Hotels, Ms. Perez. Your journey begins on Monday. As Livia stepped out of the office, a wave of excitement washed over her. A fresh position, a paycheck that would finally cover more than mere pasta and ketchup, and a supervisor who, despite the clumsy beginning, appeared fascinating. As she stood in the elevator, her phone vibrated with a buzz. A message had arrived from William. We have a team alignment meeting scheduled for tomorrow at 8 p.m., taking place at Bellini Restaurant. The yellow sweater is unnecessary. Livia beamed at the screen, her fingers dancing swiftly across the keys. Affirmative. No handbag assaults on executives. As the elevator doors slid apart, Livia emerged with a fresh vitality. A sense of foreboding washed over her, hinting that this team meeting was destined to stray far from the realm of professionalism. How about we engage in a little fun with those who focus solely on the comments? Drop pizza in the comments below. Only those who have reached this point will understand. Let's return to the narrative. Bellini Restaurant was the sort of establishment Livia had only encountered in glossy publications. Gentle illumination, exquisite linen table coverings, and a wine selection that rivals her previous rental contract in length. She selected her finest attire, dark, minimalistic, yet sophisticated, and made their entrance precisely at 8 p.m. The matter day regarded her with a subtly arched eyebrow, as though evaluating her true place in that moment. Good evening. I'm here for my reservation with Mr. Smith. Gathering of the team. Indeed, Mr. Smith is looking forward to your arrival. This way, if you please, miss. Livia trailed behind the man as they navigated the restaurant, observing the other patrons, each one resembling a figure straight from a high-end fashion magazine. In the rear, at a subtle table by a window that framed the cityscape, sat William, isolated. He rose to his feet upon catching sight of her, a grin spreading across his face that appeared to illuminate the entire space. You arrived. I received a job offer yesterday. Missing my first meeting would definitely feel odd. Wouldn't it? William drew out her chair, a touch antiquated yet delightful. Where is the rest of the team? Livia inquired, glancing about. William appeared a bit sheepish. This gathering is certainly more intimate. To discuss your direct connection with me. Absolutely. A secluded gathering in one of the city's most enchanting dining spots? Completely professional. Text, you may go if you wish, he said sincerely. I can see how this might come across as unsuitable. Livia beamed as she neatly placed the napkin on her lap. And forego the opportunity to dine at a place where the mineral water is pricier than my former daily wage? Absolutely not. The early tension dissipated swiftly. William proved to be unexpectedly approachable. He lacked the ostentatious demeanor Livia anticipated from a millionaire CEO. Instead, He recounted tales of hotel mishaps with a delightful touch of self-deprecation. Well, here we are. The governor trapped in the elevator, a 5-tier cake slowly succumbing to the heat in the lobby, and me, standing in my underwear after a champagne bottle decided to make a grand exit. What a scene! Livia almost sputtered on her wine. What actions did you take? I snatched a tablecloth and fashioned it around my waist like a toga, then dashed up the stairs to the rooftop. I borrowed a waiter's uniform, which was 2 sizes too big, and returned to be the hero of the moment. The governor was completely unaware that the man who saved him was sporting pants held up by suspenders and had his sleeves rolled up 5 times. Now I see the importance of having an organized individual on your team. Precisely. William regarded her with a grave expression. It's incredibly refreshing to be around someone who isn't constantly trying to win my approval. Who claimed I'm not making an effort to captivate you. I haven't let a single fork slip from my grasp. That's an impressive achievement. Their dialogue effortlessly transitioned into more intimate subjects. Livia shared her experiences of being raised as the sole child of a literature teacher who had a passion for Mexican soap operas. William expressed the weight of responsibility he experienced when he stepped into the family business at the age of 26 due to his father's illness. At times, it seems as though I'm merely existing in the life that others envisioned for me, rather than pursuing the one I genuinely desire, he admitted, swirling his wine glass. All eyes are on the triumphant CEO. The aspiring architect remains unnoticed by all. A designer of spaces? Is that so? As a child, I often sketched structures. I still possess a drawer brimming with projects destined to remain hidden from view. Transformation is always possible, declares the woman who once showered a city councilman's party with glitter. That was a transformative movement that many failed to grasp. They shared a laugh and William leaned in a bit, narrowing the space that separated them at the table. You're amazing. Are you aware of that? Most people try to be what they think I want to see. Well, I already hit you with a purse. I believe we've moved beyond the need to impress one another. When dessert arrived, a fancy pavlova with berries, William looked a bit nervous, fiddling with his napkin. Livia, I must speak candidly. This isn't a work meeting. Oh, really? She exclaimed, pretending to be astonished as she dramatically placed her hand on her chest. And here I assumed discussing your upbringing and unfulfilled aspirations was just part of the usual HR protocol. I'm serious, he said with a smile, a hint of embarrassment creeping in. I longed for the chance to meet you once more, away from the confines of work, free from the weight of our professional roles. Is this what we call a date? Livia paused, contemplating as she swirled her spoon through the dessert. This situation is quite intricate, wouldn't you agree? I have just been hired by you. I understand, and I assure you that I will completely honor that if you prefer to maintain a strictly professional relationship. What if I choose not to? William's expression brightened with the joy of a child receiving a surprise present. The evening unfolded with an abundance of laughter and camaraderie. As they exited the restaurant, the city shimmered with a vibrant glow all around them. William was adamant about offering her a ride home. There's no obligation to do so. I am able to arrange for a taxi. I would truly appreciate the opportunity, unless you're still concerned that I'm some sort of lunatic from the train station. Now you're the connoisseur of 5-star dining. That's quite an enhancement. The quiet in the car wrapped around us like a warm blanket. Livia observed William's profile as he navigated the road, concentrated and composed, a stark contrast to the initial impression she had formed of him. Upon arriving at her apartment, a humble structure that sharply contrasted with William's BMW, he switched off the engine. Appreciate your company this evening. It was unexpected. I trust it will be positive. In the most optimal manner. William inched closer, allowing her the opportunity to retreat if she chose to. However, she chose not to. When their lips met, it was as if a firework had ignited within her, more powerful than any experiment at a child's celebration. The kiss lingered for a moment, charged with emotion. As they parted, a sense of bewilderment lingered in the air between them. That was, William began. An error? Livia proposed, her confidence wavering unexpectedly. Absolutely not. That was truly remarkable. However, perhaps intricate, extremely intricate. Should we act as if it never occurred? Livia bit her lip, lost in thought. In a professional manner? Indeed. From my perspective. In my view? From my perspective. That kiss will linger in my mind whenever you request a board meeting. William smiled, softly caressing her face. Monday. Labor. Expertise. Isn't that so? Indeed. Completely polished. I doubt I'll ever recall that I referred to you as a pervert in a suit. She exited the vehicle, offered a brief wave, and entered the structure. As Livia shut her apartment door, she leaned back against it and sank to the floor, a playful grin spreading across her face. Her phone vibrated softly. A message arrived from William. Arrived home without any issues. Just a heads up. I'll be acting like everything's fine while it occupies my thoughts every 5 minutes. Livia responded, it's a deal. Looking forward to our meeting on Monday, Mr. Smith. Utterly formal. She tossed in an angel emoji, collapsed onto the bed, and let out a muffled scream into her pillow, reminiscent of youthful angst. Monday promised to stretch on endlessly. Livia's first week at Smith Hotel was a precarious balancing act, akin to navigating a tightrope while managing a flurry of flaming knives. Throughout the day, she and William maintained their facade of professionalism. Miss Perez, would you be able to take care of these calls? Certainly, Mr. Smith. As the evening unfolded, their messages traversed from profound life insights to spirited discussions about the finest pizza in the area. Meanwhile, the events department occupied the 20th floor, just 2 levels beneath William's office. Yet he consistently discovered justifications to monitor the progress of various projects. Face to face. Mr. Smith, are you here to review the conference arrangements, or merely to swipe our donuts? Livia playfully chided him when she found him in the break room for the 3rd time that morning. Both options are valid. Effective leadership involves juggling multiple tasks, he remarked, his mouth stuffed with a chocolate donut. Livia was taken aback by the subtle animosity from certain colleagues, particularly Natalie Parker, the marketing director who, as the office whispers suggested, had harbored feelings for William since his very first day. Natalie appeared as if she had just emerged from the pages of a glossy publication. Flawless golden locks, tailored ensembles, and an aura that caused men to stumble over unseen obstacles. She possessed the irritating tendency to regard Livia as if she were a bewildered intern. Darling, do the copies just magically appear at your previous workplace? Natalie inquired one morning, discovering Livia engaged in conversation with William in the hallway. Absolutely not, Natalie. I received help with that. It seems we have marketing directors who find themselves with some spare time on their hands. Livia responded with a charming smile. William stifled a chuckle with a cough. Matters took a turn for the worse when Livia found herself in charge of orchestrating the planning for the annual launch event of the new resort in Malibu. A project that Natalie envisioned leading. William, I must say, she has only been here for 2 weeks. Natalie voiced her objections during the meeting, and she has already demonstrated greater talent than many who have been around for years, William stated without hesitation. The resolution is conclusive. On that particular evening, Livia discovered a note resting on her desk. No one ascends that quickly without some sort of favoritism involved. Be mindful of where you tread. She crushed the note in her hand, yet the harm had already been inflicted. The glances exchanged in the corridors, the murmurs that followed her as she passed. The whispers were unmistakably circulating. On Friday, Livia stepped into the elevator and discovered William by himself. For the first time, she paused. How are you doing? He inquired with a hint of worry. I believe we might be a bit too transparent. Could you clarify what you mean? There are whispers, William, regarding us. Regarding the swift progression of my career. William scowled. Who is making that claim? It is of no consequence. Perhaps we ought to exercise greater caution. The elevator arrived at her floor, and Livia exited swiftly, leaving William in a state of concern. She dedicated the remainder of the day to steering clear of him, immersing herself in the preparations for the Malibu event. As the day drew to a close, Mel made the call. "So, Corporate Cinderella, did you charm the CEO today?" "Please, Mel, let's not begin this. It's intricate. Explain what is meant by complicated." "I perceive it as the entire organization believes I'm involved with the boss romantically. And you are not?" "Negative. Well, we shared a kiss once. And we converse. Many. However, it isn't, you see." "Is it official?" "Precisely. However, is that truly what you desire?" Livia let out a soft sigh, gazing out at the sprawling city beyond the office window. "I'm not sure, Mel. Everything feels incredibly perplexing. He's incredible, yet he holds the position of my superior. And he belongs to a realm that feels entirely foreign to me." Unbeknownst to Livia, Natalie lingered in the hallway, stealthily capturing a photo of her phone conversation. The image captured Livia's radiant smile, with the city in the background appearing enchanting, ideal for igniting speculation. On Monday morning, Livia had just placed her bag on the desk when William showed up, clearly on edge. "It's time for a conversation." At this moment, she trailed behind him into his office, where he meticulously shut the door. "My father wishes to have a conversation with you." "Is that your father?" "Excuse me, Mr. Smith? Who is the chairman of the board?" "Indeed. What is the reason?" William raked his fingers through his hair, a wave of frustration washing over him. "It seems that someone has shared some images of us, implying an improper connection." "Which images are you referring to?" "We were merely conversing in the corridor. You were on the phone wearing a smile. While there's nothing untoward, still, however, it suffices for an individual harboring ill intentions." "Precisely." Livia sensed a sudden plunge in her stomach. "What are our next steps?" William gazed at her, a blend of exasperation and tenderness in his eyes. "I will handle it. Simply don't stress about it, all right?" Yet, it was unavoidable to feel a sense of concern, particularly when, that afternoon, Livia received a summons to Mr. Smith's office on the top floor, the corporate Olympus that only a select few employees ever glimpsed, and often not for positive reasons. Richard Smith's office resembled a showcase of corporate dominance. Contemporary masterpieces valued in the millions, an expansive vista of the urban landscape, and a desk that appeared to be hewn from a solitary century-old tree. The man seated at the desk possessed William's eyes, yet lacked any trace of his warmth. Richard Smith embodied capitalism in its rawest form. Commanding, strategic, remarkable. "Miss Perez, please take a seat," he instructed, remaining seated himself. Livia settled into her seat, her legs quivering just a bit. "Mr. Smith, it's a delight to finally—" "Let's cut to the chase," he interjected. "My son has consistently struggled with understanding boundaries, particularly regarding attractive women in the workplace." Livia sensed a warm rush to her cheeks. "With the utmost respect, I'm uncertain about what you mean, sir." Richard Smith pushed a few photographs over the desk. All innocuous, yet evidently selected with intention. William shared a laugh with Livia in the break room. The two engaged in conversation as they strolled through the hallway. Livia, deep in thought, was on the phone. "Yesterday, I received some anonymous emails that were quite revealing. There's really nothing to share, sir. We are colleagues." The elderly gentleman reclined in his seat, observing her intently. "Miss Perez, you appear to be quite an intelligent individual. You'll grasp the sentiment when I express that Smith Hotels transcends mere commerce. It's a heritage. One day, William will step into my role, but for that to happen, he requires a fitting companion by his side." The suggestion lingered in the atmosphere, heavy and suffocating. "Are you suggesting that I'm not a good fit? What is the basis for that? Let's face the truth. You are an attractive individual from humble beginnings who advanced rapidly in your career. In our world, appearances hold significant weight." Livia sensed a surge of fury building within her. "I achieved that promotion through dedication, and my experiences do not limit my abilities." "I have no doubt that's the case." He offered a smile that lacked any warmth. "Nonetheless, implying that you and William share a connection beyond mere colleagues would be harmful. For the two of you, In that instant, the door swung open. William strode in, his anger palpable. "Father, this is absurd. My team is not easily intimidated. We were simply engaged in a discussion, my dear." "Concerning what topic? Is her position being threatened?" "Defining what is anticipated." William faced Livia. "Are you doing all right?" She nodded, even if she truly wasn't. "Miss Perez, may we have a moment alone, please?" Richard inquired with a veneer of courtesy. With the door now shut, their elevated voices lingered in her ears. Terms such as corporate reputation, controversy, and accountability resonated through the corridor. She returned to her desk, attempting to make sense of the events that had just unfolded. A message from Mel made her phone vibrate. "Urgent midday meal." At this moment, at the eatery close to the structure, Livia sank into her seat. "He essentially labeled me as someone who seeks to ascend the social ladder. It feels as though I'm leveraging William to advance my position within the organization." "What an elitist!" Mel exclaimed, her frustration evident. "What will you be doing next? What options do I have? He is the father of William, the proprietor of the business. And what about William? I'm uncertain." He appeared quite distressed. Just then, Livia's phone began to ring. It was indeed William. "It's time for a conversation." His voice carried a palpable tension. "I'm en route." 15 minutes later, William made his entrance into the restaurant. His gaze was turbulent, yet his posture seemed resigned. "Mel, would it be all right if—" "Absolutely not." She clutched her purse tightly. "Livia, please give me a call later." Once he found solitude, William settled into a chair and pressed his palms against his face. "My father is a relic from a bygone era. An imposing prehistoric creature." Livia contributed. "He claimed he would leverage his connections to destroy your career in the field if we persist with this situation." Livia sensed a fracture within her being. "What is this, William?" "I'm uncertain. Something positive. Something genuine. Is there something that justifies jeopardizing your standing in my professional journey?" The inquiry lingered in the air, heavy and foreboding. "Are you really putting me in a position to make a choice?" At last he spoke. "Absolutely not. I don't wish to be the cause of any distance between you and your family. What if I decide to pick you regardless? That would be an error. It feels like we've only been acquainted for about 3 weeks, right? Is it really just about a single hug that was misinterpreted?" William appeared wounded. "Is that really all it meant to you? An error? That's not what I intended to convey." It definitely had that ring to it. The atmosphere thickened, charged with apprehension and doubt. "Perhaps it's time for me to give up," Livia finally expressed. "Absolutely not. Your dedication and effort have truly paid off. It seems I've gone about things incorrectly, as everyone believes I had an affair with the boss." William shut his eyes as if he had just taken a blow. "That's not the impression you give off. Not at all? So, what's the story behind that picture of me in your father's email?" Natalie was the one. She has consistently exhibited that behavior. Deceptive. Do not allow her to triumph. This is not a matter of victory. It's about my reputation, my journey, what about your heart?" He finished softly. Livia sensed the sting of tears welling up. "That doesn't seem right, William. I have successfully secured a position. I cherish someone who evokes deep emotions within me. So I must make a choice now? There's no need to make a choice. I will confront my father and jeopardize all that you've created, the heritage of your family. At times, I find myself questioning whether that legacy is truly what I desire." Livia rose to her feet, clutching her bag tightly. "I require some time for contemplation. By oneself. Livia, if you would be so kind. I will be resigning tomorrow. It benefits all parties involved. It doesn't work out well for me." His voice faltered. She leaned in and pressed her lips softly against his forehead. "I appreciate the embrace you gave me at the train station, even if I were the wrong person." As she stepped out of the restaurant, the tears began to flow at last. Livia meandered through the bustling cityscape, overwhelmed and captivated, yet trapped in uncertainty. Her phone incessantly vibrated with notifications from William. Yet, she found herself unable to gaze upon it. In the solitude of her apartment, Livia found herself gazing at the ceiling through the long hours of the night. In the early hours, she composed her resignation letter and dispatched it via email. She found it impossible to confront William face to face. The response arrived in no time at all. "I kindly ask for an opportunity to make this right. Hold on to hope for us. W." Yet Livia had already surrendered. About William, about the ideal career, and about the whimsical notion that an accidental embrace could alter her destiny. It had been a fortnight since Livia departed from Smith Hotels. 2 weeks of submitting applications, unsuccessful interviews, and restless nights gazing at the ceiling. Her phone had fallen silent, no longer vibrating with messages from William. He had finally grasped the meaning. Livia was absent-mindedly poking at a bowl of mushy cereal when Mel suddenly stormed into her apartment, disregarding the need to knock. "That's all there is to it. I'm really over this whole sad indie movie heroine phase you're going through. Good morning to you as well, Mel. Honestly, Livia, you resemble a creature from the undead, draped in a bathrobe. It's time to break free from this state of mind." "I am breaking free from it. I submitted my resume to 3 different locations today. Incredible, truly remarkable. Is it time to alert the media?" Mel sighed dramatically and flopped onto the couch. "What is the situation with William? What is his story? Oh really? He bombarded you with messages like a love-struck teenager. And now is there truly nothing?" Livia let out a soft sigh and gently nudged the bowl aside. "He surrendered at last. Or perhaps he shares the same misery you do. I'm not unhappy. Absolutely, that's precisely why you've been donning the same shirt for 3 consecutive days, and your assortment of Chinese takeout boxes could very well be considered a historical landmark." In William's office, the situation was hardly any brighter. Stacks of unapproved papers, postponed appointments, and a demeanor that caused staff to steer clear of him in the corridor. Emily entered unannounced, flinging a magazine onto his desk. "You grace the cover of Forbes, yet you appear as though you've just survived a train wreck. It's somewhat amusing, given the circumstances of your first encounter with her. Please, Emily, let's not begin this conversation. Your situation is quite chaotic. I have a lot on my plate right now. What are you up to?" Gazing out the window, letting out a deep sigh as if embodying the essence of a troubled soul, William finally turned his gaze toward her. "What would you like me to do? She explicitly stated that she doesn't wish to see me. And you, the esteemed leader, simply surrendered. Where's the person who secured that unthinkable agreement in the Bahamas? Who rescued the Tokyo hotel from inevitable bankruptcy? This stands apart. What is the reason behind this? Is it because you genuinely care?" Emily perched on the edge of his desk. She brought a smile to your face, William. "Absolutely. This marks the first occasion since you assumed that position. It's more complex than that. Truly never is. However, you have a couple of options. Remain in despair or take action to change it." That evening, William found himself navigating the streets of the city, aimlessly wandering without a clear destination in mind. Unbeknownst to him, he found himself in Livia's neighborhood, coming to a stop in front of her building. He lingered in silence, his gaze fixed on the illuminated window of the 3rd floor, pondering the mysteries of her activities within. The sound of his phone ringing pierced the silence. Natalie's name illuminated the screen. "William, we should discuss the Malibu launch. It has become quite chaotic since Miss Perez departed." "Not at this moment, Natalie. I find myself at the office. This can be resolved swiftly. I mentioned that it's not the right time. I understand you're feeling frustrated, but the organization can hold off for a single evening." He ended the call, his gaze lingering on Livia's window. Within the confines of the room, she attempted to immerse herself in the film, yet her thoughts continually wandered back to William. The sudden chime of the doorbell caught her off guard. Who might that be? She inquired via the intercom. "Package for Livia Perez has arrived." Intrigued, she descended the stairs. The front desk was empty, save for a package bearing her name. Within the confines of the room, she stumbled upon a phone adorned with a sticky note. Hit play. The phone belonged to William. Perplexed, she activated the play function on the voice recorder application. Livia, if this message reaches you, it signifies that Emily successfully delivered the phone. This might be the most unusual thing anyone has ever attempted, but I've been meaning to express this for 2 weeks and, honestly, I struggle to express myself when it counts the most. His voice faltered, and Livia could sense the tension in his breath. I see the reasons behind your departure. It was unjust to you. The tension, the weight of expectations, the blame being thrown around. You are worthy of so much more. However, I want you to understand that embrace at the station? It turned out to be the most remarkable error I ever encountered. Livia sensed the tears beginning to well up. It may seem unbelievable, considering our brief acquaintance, but I've never experienced such feelings before. It's that sensation where, in your presence, I can truly embrace my authentic self. Neither the CEO nor the heir to the Smith legacy, simply William. A longer pause ensued, stretching out in silence. I confronted my father. I informed him that you are not open to negotiation. If he wishes to preserve his cherished legacy, he must embrace your presence in my life, in whatever form you decide to take. At that moment, Livia was weeping without restraint. If you're open to it, I'll be at Central Park tomorrow at 6 p.m., by the cafe near the lake. If you choose not to come, I will completely understand. I assure you, I won't trouble you anymore. The recording concluded, and Livia remained in the vacant lobby, cradling the phone as though it were the most treasured object imaginable. Across the street, William noticed the glow in Livia's apartment extinguish. He ignited the engine and pulled away, a weight in his chest, yet a flicker of hope began to blossom within him. The Grand Plaza Hotel shimmered brilliantly against the backdrop of the city night. The yearly Smith Hotels event stood out as the most significant social assembly within the hospitality sector. A blend of opulent corporate ambience, dynamic connections, and premium beverages to facilitate high-stakes negotiations. Livia smoothed her black catering uniform, a wave of unexpected nerves washing over her. Following weeks of being without work, she accepted a temporary position as a service coordinator for the catering company at the event. The irony was not lost on her as she found herself back at the very event she was meant to have orchestrated. The appetizers are to be placed in the East Hall, drinks should be replenished every 40 minutes, and ensure that no one under 21 is served champagne. She directed the team, attempting to quell the fluttering in her stomach. Her interim supervisor, a man sporting a prominent mustache named Gregory, appeared to be quite taken with her work. Have you previously participated in this event? Perhaps something along those lines. Livia responded, keeping her thoughts succinct. Across the room, William fidgeted with his tie for the 5th time, struggling to concentrate on the Japanese investors' discussion about occupancy rates. From afar, his father observed, unmistakably aware of his son's wandering thoughts. William, concentrate, Richard Smith whispered as he drew near. Mr. Tanaka is contemplating the expansion of our partnership to include 3 additional hotels in Tokyo. Lacking clarity. It appears that way. Ever since that incident, your focus has been elsewhere. William tensed up. That event has a title, Dad, and I've expressed my stance on it clearly. Richard Smith let out a deep breath. My dear boy, I understand you believe you've found love, but I don't just think. I am certain. Did she really leave the company just now? No conflict, no clarification? William regarded his father with a frigid gaze. She didn't merely walk away. It was as if you had all but shoved her out the door. Their tension was abruptly interrupted as the light flickered and extinguished. A ripple of astonishment coursed through the hall, accompanied by hushed gasps. What's happening? Richard insisted. A manager approached, clearly anxious. There seems to be an electrical issue, Mr. Smith. The generators were expected to activate on their own. Yet in the midst of the escalating chaos, a composed and articulate female voice emerged. Esteemed guests, I kindly ask you to remain composed. The emergency system is set to activate soon. William came to a standstill. That voice was familiar to him. In the shadows, Livia had assumed control. With the beam of her phone flashlight illuminating the way, she orchestrated the distribution of candles to the tables, signaled security to assist guests, and communicated with the maintenance team through the radio. "Catering lady," Richard Smith called out, "could you please direct me to the individual responsible for overseeing the hotel?" In a flurry of anxiety within the control room, Livia responded, her eyes failing to identify him amidst the shadows. "The generators are unresponsive, yet we've activated the manual backup system. Illumination in 2 minutes, climate control in 5. What about the VIP guests? They are being presented on the terrace, where the natural light still lingers. The special appetizers and vintage champagne have been redirected to that location." William edged nearer, catching a glimpse of her face as the emergency lights flickered to life. "Livia?" She stood still, her breath caught in her throat at the sound of his voice. "Is it William?" Richard Smith glanced between them, grasping the circumstances at hand. "Are you both acquainted with one another?" he inquired without need. Livia adjusted her posture. "Mr. Smith, if you don't mind, I need to attend to a pressing matter." She hurriedly departed, leaving the father and son enveloped in a heavy silence. "It is her," Richard stated. "It's not exactly a question. Indeed, William has confirmed. It appears she is rescuing your prestigious gathering from utter disarray." The following half-hour was consumed by a whirlwind of urgent endeavors. As the technicians toiled to bring back the power, Livia deftly orchestrated the entire event, skillfully repositioning guests, fine-tuning the food service, and even conjuring a delightful impromptu performance with a pianist who happened to be among the attendees. As the lights flickered back to life, what might have spiraled into chaos transformed into a unique moment that the guests eagerly recounted. The hotel manager walked over to Richard Smith, a look of clear relief on his face. "Dear Mr. Smith, I sincerely regret any inconvenience this may have caused. We have pinpointed the issue and—" "Who was that lady?" Richard cut in. "Who are the individuals managing the buffet?" "I'm uncertain, sir. I believe it's just for a short while." Having observed the entire rescue operation unfold, William came to a conclusion. He ascended the modest stage as the band began to play once more and grasped the microphone. "Esteemed guests, on behalf of Smith Hotels, I extend my gratitude for your patience during our recent technical difficulties." The crowd chuckled at ease. "As you've observed, we deeply cherish professionalism and excellence in every facet of our service. This evening we observed that unfold before us." He spotted Livia, attempting to conceal herself behind a pillar. "It is my pleasure to invite to the stage the individual who transformed a looming catastrophe into an unforgettable night, Livia Perez." A spotlight illuminated Livia, resembling a startled deer frozen in the glare. With a sense of hesitation, she approached the stage, fully conscious of the multitude of gazes fixed upon her. William reached out, offering his hand to lift her, his voice low as he murmured, "Trust me." As soon as she joined him, William pressed on. "Miss Perez was once a member of our team, and tonight, she has demonstrated precisely why we should have never parted ways with her. Her knack for maintaining composure in challenging situations and devising innovative solutions perfectly embodies the essence of Smith Hotels." The audience erupted in applause, several individuals nodding in acknowledgement of the woman who had turned the evening around. To be candid, there was a slight tremor in William's voice. "She embodies a significance that is deeply meaningful to me." A whisper of intrigue wafted through the space. Richard Smith, positioned in the front row, adjusted his posture in the chair. At times, life presents us with chances that appear as blunders, such as embracing an unexpected individual at a train station. Tears welled up in Livia's eyes as she realized she had been the right person all along. William pivoted to meet her gaze, utterly oblivious to the spectators around them. "I acted foolishly, Livia. I ought to have put up a stronger fight. I ought to have demonstrated that you deserve every sacrifice. As a result of your existence." The melody had come to an end. Silence enveloped the entire room. "William," Livia whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of shyness and deep feeling. "I'm not requesting your return to the company. I'm reaching out, hoping you'll return to me. If you wish." A solitary clap emerged from the rear of the room. Before long, a multitude joined in, and soon the entire room was filled with applause. Richard Smith, momentarily taken aback, gradually rose to his feet and, much to the astonishment of those around him, joined in the applause. Livia, her cheeks glistening with tears, offered a smile. "That was remarkably lacking in professionalism, Mr. Smith." "Absolutely. Dismiss me." And there, before an audience of 300 of the most significant figures in the hotel industry, she kissed him. 3 months later, Livia found herself comfortably settled on the couch of her new apartment, which was significantly larger than her previous one. She had made a point of covering the rent on her own. Her new event planning company, Abrazo Cerdo, had already attracted a waiting list of clients, with many being referred by William. The telephone chimed. It was Mel. "How is the most enterprising woman in town?" Amidst a whirlwind of emotions, Livia responded with laughter, feeling both overwhelmed and joyfully stressed. "What about the love story with the charming CEO?" "Everything is progressing smoothly, remarkably well. Does Dad still crinkle his nose?" Livia smiled, reminiscing about the last family dinner. "Let's just say he's gradually coming to terms with it, particularly after I orchestrated his anniversary celebration and wowed all his pretentious friends. Exceptional. Leveraging your talents to impress the father-in-law." "A pure strategy," Livia quipped. "Hey, I have to end this call. William is expected to arrive shortly to escort me to lunch with Emily. We'll catch up later." After Livia ended the call, she surveyed her surroundings. The new apartment, though still filled with unpacked boxes, already exuded a sense of belonging. A message from William made her phone vibrate. "I'm en route. Emily eagerly anticipates your arrival. Prepare yourself for some probing inquiries regarding what lies ahead." Livia responded with a panic emoji and prepared herself. She selected a dress that was both understated and refined, a stark contrast to the buffet uniform or the formal attire she donned at Smith Hotels. The doorbell chimed precisely at noon. William stood there, his smile igniting a familiar flutter in her chest. "Prepared for my sister's questioning?" With a playful smile, he leaned in and pressed a gentle kiss to her lips. "Approximately. Where could she be?" "Oh, she will undoubtedly be late, as per usual." As they drove to the restaurant, William exhibited an unusual nervousness, his fingers rhythmically tapping on the steering wheel while he glanced at the rearview mirror with an almost obsessive frequency. "Is everything all right?" Livia inquired. "You're behaving as if you've just pulled off a heist." "What do you mean?" "Absolutely everything is just as it should be. Completely ordinary." "William Smith, your skills in deception are truly lacking. Your ear flushes when you attempt to mislead someone." He instinctively reached for his ear. "Wow, is it really that clear?" "Resembling a vibrant neon sign." "What are you working on?" Silence. "I can't wait to arrive at the restaurant." However, rather than heading to their familiar location, William veered into a park that Livia had never explored before. "I was under the impression that we were having lunch with Emily. Revised arrangements. She'll be joining us here." The park felt unusually deserted on this bright Saturday afternoon. William parked the car and guided Livia along a serene wooded path that opened up to a quaint clearing. To her astonishment, an elegantly arranged table for two awaited her, adorned with candles despite the daylight, vibrant flowers, and a bottle of champagne nestled in an ice bucket. "William, what on earth is this? Would you like to grab a lunch?" he proposed with a sense of naivety. "Where is Emily? She may arrive a bit later than I indicated." Livia narrowed her eyes, a hint of skepticism lingering, yet she found herself captivated by the enchanting ambience of romance. The midday meal was absolutely delightful. Every one of her beloved dishes, presented by a subtle server who seemed to materialize and vanish like an illusion. "Is this for a celebration of something I might have overlooked?" she inquired following the dessert. "Not quite." William appeared to be growing more anxious by the moment. "Do you recall the moment our paths first crossed?" How could I possibly forget? You confronted me at the station. I favor the phrase enthusiastically embraced. You referred to me as your sister and brought up the image of elderly women enjoying a game of Uno. Every little nuance matters. William grasped her hands gently. The unexpected embrace turned out to be the most remarkable event in my life. Livia sensed her heart pounding in her chest. William, allow me to complete this, or I might lose my resolve. The last few months have brought me unparalleled joy. You stand out from everyone I've encountered. You push my boundaries, bring joy to my days, and you see beyond my wealth or position. Your apartment truly stands out in a remarkable way. She laughed lightly, masking the feelings beneath the surface. What I mean to convey is, he inhaled deeply. I believe I'm prepared for yet another significant misstep. Suddenly, a cluster of individuals appeared from the shadows of the trees. Emily was present, accompanied by Mel, Livia's mother, and even Richard Smith, who appeared a bit uneasy yet wore a smile. What's happening? Livia inquired, her brow furrowed in confusion. William sank to his knees on the grass, retrieving a small box from his pocket. Livia Perez, would you consider the folly of becoming my spouse? As he lifted the lid of the box, a ring emerged, its size far too generous for her slender finger. That doesn't fit me. She chuckled, her eyes glistening with tears. I understand. He appeared utterly embarrassed. Emily provided me with the incorrect size. I've got another one tucked away. He revealed a second box containing a ring that was simpler yet more elegant, perfectly sized. There's always an alternative in my back pocket. Livia chuckled, tears streaming down her face. This is absolutely wild. Our acquaintance spans just under 6 months. Exactly 4 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days, Emily called out from a distance. You're keeping track, William charged. Absolutely, I am. Livia's gaze shifted from the man kneeling before her to the eager faces of the onlookers, and then returned to William. Indeed, she finally responded. Absolutely. I'm ready to embrace this magnificent blunder alongside you. He gently placed the perfectly sized ring onto her finger and pressed his lips to hers, as the crowd erupted in applause. Mel let out a whistle. Emily leaped with the exuberance of youth, and even Richard Smith appeared touched, subtly dabbing at the edge of his eye. Livia's mother approached and embraced her daughter warmly. My daughter is set to marry a man who embraced her by accident. This is the stuff of dramatic storytelling. Mother, what is happening? Indeed, it is. If this were a dramatic tale, you would be the unassuming heroine who captures the heart of the affluent gentleman. William reached out to greet his future mother-in-law. I assure you that I will look after her well, Mrs. Perez. I trust you will, my dear, and if not, she might just swing that purse at you once more. Laughter filled the air as the spontaneous celebration carried on into the afternoon. At last, in their secluded moment, William and Livia settled onto a park bench, their eyes drawn to the fading light of the sunset. So, future Mrs. Smith, he began. She corrected him, saying, It's Perez Smith. I apologize. Future Mrs. Perez Smith, do you have any second thoughts? Livia gazed at the ring adorning her finger, then turned her attention to the man standing beside her. Only one. What is that? I regretted not having a larger bag with me that day at the station. A larger chaos would have ensued. William chuckled, drawing her nearer. I adore you, you delightful whirlwind. I adore you as well, you dapper mischief maker. The long-awaited day dawned on a bright Saturday morning. The wedding was set to be quite intimate at Livia's request, as she valued quality over quantity. Nonetheless, the guest list had expanded to feature key executives, high-profile clients of the hotels, and almost the entire team from Smith Hotels. Let's enjoy ourselves a bit with those who merely skim through the comments. Leave a comment with Coca-Cola. Only those who have journeyed to this point will truly comprehend. Now, let us return to the narrative. Livia found herself in the improvised bride's suite, as Mel meticulously fine-tuned the last touches of her dress. Stay still, Mel grumbled, her mouth full of pins. I'm feeling a bit anxious about it. What if I stumble? What happens if I lose track of my vows? What if... What if a meteor were to crash right in the heart of the ceremony? Mel completed the task. Take a deep breath. Everything will turn out all right. Emily stepped inside, cradling a pair of champagne glasses. How is the most fortunate bride in the world faring? In a state of panic, Mel responded. Keep her steady while I wrap this up. Emily offered a glass to Livia. Rest assured, my brother shares the same fear. He has already changed his suit 3 times. Is that supposed to soothe me? Not really, but it has its charm. Livia's mom burst into the room with an air of urgency, clutching the enigmatic box swathed in delicate tissue paper. My dear daughter, I have a special gift for you. Mom, if it's that tiara from Cousin Consuela, then, improved. With a flourish, Mrs. Perez unveiled the box, exposing a beautifully crafted handkerchief adorned with intricate embroidery. It belonged to your grandmother, passed down from her mother, who inherited it from her own mother after an encounter with a man she met following a fall from her horse in the village's main square. This bestows fortune upon romantic tales that begin with unexpected mishaps. Livia accepted the handkerchief, her heart warmed by the gesture. This is truly lovely, Mom. And she embellished your date look. In the corner of the handkerchief, the wedding date was intricately embroidered alongside the initials L and W. When did you find the opportunity to? A mother always manages to carve out time, my dear, particularly when her daughter is on the brink of marrying a man who could purchase half the nation yet accidentally embraced her at a train station. The 4 women erupted into fits of laughter. Emily lifted her glass in a toast to serendipitous encounters and those slightly uncomfortable embraces. Mel noted that, on the men's side, William was certainly on his 3rd suit, while his best friend and best man, Mark, observed with a sense of amusement. Honestly, it's merely a suit. She will adore you in any of those. It's more than merely a suit. It's the attire. It must be flawless. Mark shook his head, relishing the anxious energy radiating from his friend. You've navigated billion-dollar agreements with effortless grace. What's causing you to feel so anxious at this moment? That was a transaction. This is indeed eternal. Are you absolutely certain about that? Mark inquired, his demeanor shifting to one of gravity. Your acquaintance has been brief. William paused in his efforts to adjust his tie and turned to his friend, a certainty within him stronger than anything I had ever experienced. It may seem unbelievable, but it feels as though I've discovered the crucial element to a puzzle I wasn't even aware was lacking. Mark beamed, pleased with the response. I'm genuinely pleased for you, and I eagerly anticipate the next 50 years filled with amusing tales you both will weave together. Richard Smith stepped into the room, exuding his usual elegance, yet his expression held an unexpected softness. Are you prepared, my boy? I believe so, William responded, fiddling with his tie for what felt like the 1000th time. Richard approached him, resting his hands gently on his son's shoulders. I realize now that I misjudged her. I understand. Clearly, there's a misunderstanding here. I made a significant mistake. She is precisely what you desire, what our family requires. William gazed at his father, astonished. Who are you and what have you done with Richard Smith? The elderly gentleman chuckled, a sound both rare and invaluable. Your mother opened my eyes to a new way of thinking, and I came to understand that my son's happiness is more important than sticking to the rigid path I had envisioned. Richard retrieved a petite blue velvet box from the depths of his pocket. This was your grandmother's. She requested that I present it to the bride who genuinely won the affection of her grandson. William lifted the lid of the box, unveiling a finely crafted gold bracelet adorned with tiny sapphires. Father, she is going to adore this. It's a time-honored practice. Her something borrowed. Additionally, there's something else to consider. Your grandmother clearly stated, for the girl who brings him more laughter than tears. William took a deep breath, feeling a wave of emotion wash over him. Thanks, Dad. The guests were beginning to find their places in the garden. The decorations struck a flawless harmony between elegance and simplicity, precisely as Livia had envisioned, even in the face of objections from the event planners engaged by Richard, who were advocating for a more lavish approach. Gregory, the man sporting an impressive mustache who had once held a position of authority over Livia, was now taking on the role of coordinator, guiding guests to their seats with the same enthusiasm he once reserved for managing waitstaff. He declined my monetary proposal. William remarked to Mark as they observed Gregory at work that he would prefer the honor of claiming he orchestrated the wedding of the legendary figure in the events industry who conquered the Lion of Hotels. Your nickname certainly sets a high bar for you to meet. Mark chuckled heartily. The ceremony was scheduled to commence at 4 p.m. The setting was the garden of the newly acquired mansion that William had purchased despite Livia's objections, as she continued to assert her desire to contribute her share towards everything. At 3:50 p.m., the DJ was still absent. At 3:55 p.m., Livia's grandmother came to the realization that she had left her dentures behind at the hotel. By 4 p.m., half of the guests had taken their seats, yet the officiants were still absent. Unexpectedly, Natalie Parker, once a competitor of Livia, made an appearance at the wedding. What was even more astonishing was witnessing her step in to tackle the DJ dilemma, linking her phone to the sound system and curating an impromptu playlist. She explained to a bewildered Emily, who discovered her tinkering with the equipment, "Let's just say that covering the cost of your Valentino dress was my way of apologizing. Moreover, no one should experience a wedding devoid of music." In the background, Livia found herself not only grappling with her own apprehensions, but also soothing her mother, who oscillated between fits of tears and waves of anxiety regarding the reception. What if the affluent visitors disapprove of my family? What if they perceive our traditions as unusual? Mom, if there's one lesson I've gathered from sharing a space with William, it's that wealth doesn't equate to style or wisdom. Many of these affluent individuals couldn't distinguish between a grand opera and a dramatic soap opera episode. However, your father is set to perform the family's cherished song, and it's sure to be a hit with everyone, particularly after a few glasses of champagne. Mel glanced through the window. DEFCON emerged victorious. Livia's uncle has begun recounting the tale of his triumph in a dance championship back in 1979. What is the amount of alcohol he has consumed? Livia inquired, her concern palpable, contemplating whether he could take on Richard Smith in a tango duel. Oh my goodness! Livia dramatically placed her hand on her forehead in a display of despair. This wedding is poised to resemble a botched blend of traditions. I think it's absolutely wonderful, Emily remarked, as she adjusted her bridesmaid dress. My side of the family resembles a lineup straight out of a corporate robot catalog. A touch of disorder is precisely what we require. The lack of efficiency brought about an unforeseen advantage. The delay allowed Livia's grandmother to retrieve her dentures, promptly delivered by a driver dispatched by William. My grandson is a true angel, the woman proclaimed, adjusting her dentures with meticulous precision. Picture this: dispatching someone on a mission to retrieve an elderly woman's dentures, all so she can beam with joy at the wedding. At 4:15 p.m., it appeared that all was in place. The DJ was crafting a playlist on the fly using Natalie's phone. Livia's grandmother wore a bright smile, showcasing her teeth, as the officiant arrived, offering heartfelt apologies for the delay caused by traffic. In the garden, adorned with twinkling lights and vibrant blooms, an unusual blend of realms was unfolding. Executives in tailored suits engaged in lively conversations with Livia's uncles about barbecue recipes. Charming socialites were capturing moments with Livia's mom, captivated by her vibrant spirit. Even Richard Smith found himself ensnared by a circle of the Perez family women, who were imparting the fundamentals of salsa dancing to him. I never imagined I'd witness my dad dancing, William remarked to Emily, observing the unexpected spectacle. Livia has infused this family with more joy than countless years of therapy ever could. The time had come. The melody commenced. William stood at the improvised altar, a mix of fear and joy etched across his face. Emily, taking the lead as the maid of honor, walked ahead, with Mel following closely behind. Then all rose to their feet. Livia made her entrance, breathtaking in her understated yet graceful gown, gliding down the aisle alongside her mother, who was weeping openly. Mom, you said you wouldn't shed any tears. I was not truthful. Mrs. Perez wept openly, unashamed of her tears. In an unexpected turn of events, the family's small French bulldog, Winston, whom William had welcomed into their lives following the engagement, seized the moment for a glorious dash. The small dog, adorned with a miniature bow tie, dashed down the main aisle, joyfully barking, much to the guests' amusement. "Winston, return here," Emily urged softly, attempting to corral the adventurous pup. Yet the dog had a different agenda. He dashed over to Livia, leaping onto her legs as though he were meeting a star. "Is this the borrowed something?" Livia chuckled, leaning down to stroke the eager puppy, oblivious to her dress. "We're not even married yet, and he's already chosen his side," William quipped. As Livia approached the altar, William appeared to be lost in a dreamlike state. "You're beyond words," he whispered. "Indescribable in a good way or indescribable in a bad way. The ultimate experience beyond words." The officiant took a moment to gather himself, poised to start the ceremony. At that moment, Richard Smith rose to his feet. "If I could, I would like to share a few thoughts." A whisper of astonishment rippled through the attendees. William and Livia shared anxious looks. "When my son announced that he was marrying a woman he had met less than 6 months prior, a woman he had literally hugged by mistake at a train station, I couldn't help but think he had completely lost his mind." The atmosphere grew utterly still. Livia paused, her breath caught in her throat. But then, Richard continued, "I noticed the transformation in him, the way he began to smile more, the way that spark returned to his eyes, a spark that had been absent for far too long. It dawned on me that often, the most wonderful aspects of life emerge from what initially seem like errors." Tears began to well up in Livia's eyes. "Livia, we are delighted to have you join the Smith family. We are intricate, resolute, and frequently mistaken. From this point forward, these challenges are yours to face as well." All around, laughter erupted, and the atmosphere lightened. Richard resumed his seat as the ceremony unfolded further. What unfolded next was a truly enchanting moment that no one could have orchestrated. As the officiant called for the rings, Winston, who had been quietly resting at Emily's feet, sprang to his feet and dashed over to William, presenting the ring pillow that had gone unnoticed, cleverly secured to his collar. The officiant remarked with a hint of humor, much to the amusement of the guests, that we now had an official delivery boy. William knelt, grasped the rings, and swiftly stroked Winston, who appeared remarkably proud of his successful endeavor. The moment had arrived for the vows to be exchanged. William took the lead. "Livia, when I embraced you at that station, believing you were my sister, I never envisioned that I was truly embracing my destiny. You've demonstrated that perfection isn't a requirement for me. I simply want to embrace my true self. I vow to embrace you daily, always with a heads up and an abundance of affection." Joyful laughter and enthusiastic cheers resonated throughout the audience. Next, it was Livia's moment to shine. "William, I struck you with a handbag during our initial encounter. It may not have been the ideal beginning for a romance, yet you continued with that infuriating grin of someone who is certain of their correctness. And indeed, you were. I vow to stand by your side through every misstep and triumph that life brings our way, and I also pledge to refrain from using my purse as a weapon, unless absolutely warranted." Increased joy and amusement. The officiant beamed and carried on with the ceremony. Before we proceed, William interjected. Much to everyone's astonishment, "I have a little something for Livia." He retrieved the blue velvet box that his father had bestowed upon him, a cherished gift from his grandmother. She mentioned it ought to be awarded to the girl who brings me more laughter than tears. Without a doubt, you accomplish that each day. Livia stood in stunned silence as she beheld the exquisite bracelet, permitting William to gently fasten it around her quivering wrist. "Something blue," she murmured. "To complement the hue of the sky reflected in your eyes," William whispered softly, meant solely for her ears. As the moment arrived for the vows, both of them showed no signs of doubt. "I hereby declare you united as husband and wife. The moment has arrived for you to seal your vows with a kiss." William cradled Livia's face gently in his hands. "Thank you for being the unexpected presence at just the right moment. Thank you for being the most wonderfully imperfect embrace in existence." Their lips met as the audience erupted in applause. Emily was shedding tears, Mel was producing a cheerful whistle, and Richard Smith appeared to be truly joyful. The atmosphere at the reception was vibrant and full of energy. Livia's grandmother, now sporting her dentures, was dancing with vibrant energy alongside one of William's uncles. The DJ, finally on the scene, spun an eclectic mix that delighted the crowd. Livia's mother was engaging in a lively conversation with Richard Smith about Mexican soap operas, much to everyone's astonishment. The night's most surprising moment unfolded as Natalie stepped onto the stage and seized the microphone. "Greetings, all," she began, clearly anxious. "It seems that my presence here today has caught many of you off guard, particularly the bride." A heavy stillness enveloped the space. "Livia, I wish to express my sincere apologies for my past actions. I allowed feelings of jealousy and insecurity to consume me, leading me to actions I regret." Livia, perched at the main table, cast a surprised glance at the woman who had nearly obliterated her career. Natalie went on to say that William has consistently been a just and considerate leader, and I misrepresented that in my actions. However, witnessing the two of you today, I grasped what everyone else had already realized. You complement each other flawlessly. She lifted her glass. "Let us raise our glasses to the couple who have demonstrated that the most beautiful moments in life are often the unexpected ones. Is your new events department currently looking for new hires, Livia?" The atmosphere shifted as laughter erupted, and Livia elegantly rose to embrace her once adversary. In a brief interlude, William guided Livia to a secluded nook. Content, beyond what I ever imagined could be achieved. Amidst all the turmoil, particularly amidst all the turmoil, it transforms everything into something that belongs to us. Surveying the space where their distinct families were harmoniously intertwining. Emily was guiding Livia's cousins through the dance steps, while Livia's mother beamed as she shared photos on her phone with the company executives. Winston darted between tables, collecting affection from all the guests, and in that moment, Livia felt a profound sense of certainty. This marked the start of a journey brimming with unforeseen experiences, delightful chaos, and warm embraces. Many warm embraces. Everything unfolds perfectly, in the ideal moment, alongside the perfect companion. William beamed, embracing her just as he had on that very first day. Yet, at this moment, it was the perfect embrace, shared with the perfect companion. "You know, there's something I've always been curious about," Livia said. "What is happening? How could you not see that I wasn't your sister? You embraced me from behind." William chuckled, feeling a touch of embarrassment. "To be honest, my mind was entirely on the surprise for you, and I didn't consider anything else. Upon spotting the yellow sweater, I felt a sudden urge to act. What's the greatest blunder you've ever made?" As the music seamlessly transitioned into a romantic ballad, William gracefully extended his hand. "Would you care to dance with me, Mrs. Pura Smith?" "Absolutely, Mr. Smith." As they twirled beneath the shimmering lights, enveloped by the warmth of friends and family, William leaned in close and murmured, "Nothing like a misplaced embrace to lead you to the right destination." Livia beamed, leaning her head gently against his shoulder. "The ultimate destination on Earth." What are your thoughts on the tale of William and Livia? We invite you to express your opinions in the comments section.